Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is your captain speaking. Thanks for serving your fellow passengers so beautifully as we all help each other get disencumbered of excess baggage and body weight, and we get comfortably buckled in, yet we're still vividly alert to every fleeting opportunity. This is the place to be, even if you may hear the sound of weed whackers in the background, trimming the lawn in the atrium of our aquaricraft. We're still lively and ready for anything, from a pina colada to a boat ride to a volcano, as Aquarian Airlines Flight 807 is ready for takeoff from Lake Atitlan, Guatemala, to anywhere you want to go, and we do mean anywhere, on Earth and to any galaxy you want. This astoundingly beautiful place is famous for its beauty, for a sacredness deeply rooted in the living indigenous traditions of the Maya and other peoples closely related to them, and for its high and heady energy as a portal where UFOs zip in and out of the mountains, and some intrepid light warriors here engage in everything from bargaining to battle with the extraterrestrial visitors who come to ride on or rumble against the light. How can you tell who's in the galactic game? It's not the ones who say anything about it, of course, so you can tell that at the moment I'm a reporter rather than a player. The ones who are really in the game are the ones who claim they've never heard of it, who weigh each word as if deciding from moment to moment whether voicing it will be an improvement on silence, and who squint with a half smile at the volcanic gas plume in the distance, as if wondering whose ships, Greys, CIA, Dracos, Syrians, Nazis, are using it for cover. My own flight is heading from San Marcos de Atitlan through Lima and back to my home for the last 8 years in the Sacred Valley near Cusco, Peru. I'm in the home stretch of a journey of book signings, astrology readings, sacred site visits, and cultural explorations in Mexico and Guatemala, Egypt and Ireland, France and Germany, Spain and the USA. The holy places and cultural riches I've experienced in the last 8 months are too many to list. It's enough to say here, for practical purposes that may assist you, that you'd best get your legs in shape for Mont Saint-Michel, or be prepared to wait for days before your calf muscles forgive you. Double the time you plan to spend in rounds. Learn a few Irish songs. You'll have a chance to sing them in Cork. You can relish the most exquisite silence you've ever heard at the Berlin Philharmonic in the seconds between the last chord of the music and the first patter of the applause. Be sure to book your tickets early to the Alhambra in Granada, and beware of Barcelona, because you may never want to come back from a place that looks like a Gothic cathedral on psilocybin, and whose Catalan language looks like quatrains by Nostradamus, and sounds like what you get if you tried to transcribe flamenco into written characters on a page. More about this in another time, in another post. For now, heartfelt thanks to the bookstores and spiritual centers that have hosted me, especially the Enchanted Forest Reiki Center in Las Vegas, Body in Santa Fe, Radiance in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Alchemists in Richmond, Virginia, Body, Mind, and Soul in Houston, Lotus in 6th October City, Egypt, and Shireen Malik Center in Zamalek, Cairo, and Dervish Holistics in Cork. Thanks for the kind hospitality of Patricia Barakat, Al and Jenny Sanchez, Mary Garvey and Ken Horst, Darlene Strait and Tommy Gardner, Lisa and Bill Schwarb, Cliff and Betsy Alexander, and Mary Sky. And thanks for the kind help and expert guidance of Paulette Waltz, Leslie Zare, and Bev Buckley. This journey of 18 lunations, that is, the principal lunar phases of the black and full moons, began in late November 2016 and now comes to an end with the last lunation, the Aquarius full moon of August 7th. It's not getting noticed much, as everyone's attention naturally goes to the total solar eclipse at the Leo black moon of August 21st. Yet the full moon that is coming in a few days, complete with a partial lunar eclipse, is well worth a look here, as it's the perfect wind-up, warm-up, weird-up, and wake-up between the bizarre events of days just past and the cosmic stresses and opportunities coming on August 21st. The chart you see here is cast for San Marcos, the town on the shore of Lake Atitlan that is called a hippie village or New Age center by people who are insufficiently hip or prematurely no longer new. The chart is cast for 12:11 p.m. on August 7th, and I promise you it has not been tweaked or cherry-picked to make powerful astrodynamics align vertically with the spiritual thrust point of the midheaven at the top of the chart and the earth anchor of the nadir at the bottom center. This is how the chart turns out when it's cast for the exact moment of the Leo full moon 2017 at Lake Atitlan. It will naturally look different with planets positioned in different houses for other parts of the world. Yet this chart is strangely fitting for the whole planet now, as the sun in Leo, the king, the ruler, the performer, who seeks the one-up position and is little interested in relationships of equality, occupies perhaps the least appropriate spot, the upward spiritual target and power pinnacle of the all-embracing compassionate heart at the apex of the chart. Meanwhile, the moon in the sign of Aquarius, the revolutionary bringer of change, the trickster and worker of magical effects, is in the least mobile position of all, the nadir, the point that anchors the chart to the solid dimension of the earth plane, and therefore tends to be somewhere between cautiously static and about as stuck as you can be without being in the passport control line at Paramaribo Airport in Suriname. The two horseshoe-shaped moon's node points are also on the Leo-Aquarius axis and are in an afflictive 90-degree square angle with the Scorpio Ascendant at the left of the chart between the 12th and 1st houses. It is likely now that there will be friction in group and personal relationships, much of it caused by secretive, withholding behavior of the kind that shows that dishonesty is invariably the product of fear. These celestial dynamics are a close fit for a time when neither the powers that be nor the people who could claim their power are ready to create positive, equitable change and are crazy glued to their TVs, following the latest distractions that may, for a little while more, keep most of us from seeing how dire the situation is, yet how it could also be transmuted with a little concerted, courageous effort, as if by the electrical magic of Uranus himself. We see him in the volatile sign of Aries, in the 6th house of this chart. You may remember that he was in an ongoing 90-degree square alignment of disharmonious tension with Pluto in Capricorn, now in the 3rd house of communications from 2012 through 2016, so that many of the changes we see now are aftermaths and echoes of what happens when the bringer of change is in disharmony with the Lord of death and regeneration. Now, as Uranus has moved ahead in his orbit, he is no longer in square to Pluto, but for the coming weeks another planet is. In the 12th house of secrets and shadows, of energies not yet fully formed enough for expression in the light of day, or too guilty to show their faces more openly than they have to, Jupiter is in a tight square to Pluto. As Jupiter is the king of heaven, the money and institutions of wealth and power, governments, courts of law, banks, churches, hospitals, universities, and now in our time, corporations, we can expect that there will be plenty of tough talk and flamboyant gestures by people who are play fighting on the dimly lit stage of an impasse while working earnestly to divert attention from themselves by creating as much fear as possible. Thus, the United States sends bomber flights over North Korea in violation of that sovereign country's airspace. The U.S. Congress, unable yet to agree on anything their country really needs, passes almost unanimously a bill to impose sanctions on Russia, who retaliates by expelling American diplomats and closing their dachas. The U.S. Senate did act on something recently, and rather dramatically, when Republicans failed by one vote to repeal Obamacare and thereby clear the ground for a skinny, Reed stingy, Scrooge alternative that aims to increase the profits of the insurance companies who own the politicians. And for the abrasive comic relief that is essential under these autoerotic conditions, the White House Director of Communications, Anthony Scaramucci, has just been fired for claiming that Steve Bannon, Donald Trump's White House Chief of Staff, is a man who, quote, sucks his own dick. Theater fans may recognize in Scaramucci's name the stock character of Scaramuccia from the old Commedia dell'arte, Scaramouche in French, the clever trickster who rescues himself and others from danger by talking and singing them out of trouble. When Scaramuccia is instead getting himself in trouble, then someone is playing seriously against type. The laughing, leering Western media are naturally having as much soft-core fun as they can with this astounding story, while remembering every moment that if you get too graphic, it's a great way to cut your own throat at network news. So now there are so many smiling newsers everywhere, from flagship flashes in New York to the car crash hour at KRUD-TV in Port Bone, Mississippi, who are longing to say, but they dare not say. It's simple. A man who is flexible enough that he can pleasure himself orally might consider the Cirque du Soleil instead of the Cercle Jerk of American politics. Or any man whose love-giver can stand erect enough to tickle his chin might give some serious thought to the adult film industry. After all, pornography and politics are made for each other, and their love story is ancient and eternal. The principles, ethics, and imagery of the two professions, porn and politics, are very much the same, except that Dawn Porno, Wanda Willing, and those other pornography artists do not work in suits and ties, they don't get free postage, they do teamwork well and enjoy cooperation, they usually service one partner at a time, instead of fucking an entire constituency of millions, and they have honor rules about whom they will not serve and what they will not do. More of this lurid, flaming sewage is sure to fly through the air by day and whirl through the sky by night for the week after this full moon. Notice how Neptune in Pisces, in the 4th house of the home, is opposite to Mercury in Virgo, in the 10th house of power and the world. This opposition will come closer, within 2 degrees of an exact 180-degree angle, just as Mercury goes retrograde on August 13th. So the eclipse moon of August 21st will happen under Mercury retrograde in Virgo, with all that this brings in mistakes, miscommunications, misunderstandings, dumb assumptions, frazzling machines, delays, blockages, lost phones, and random, ineffable human bozosis, and the Virgo love of pointless detail gone obsessive. More on the eclipse next time. It's probably best to remember George Carlin's advice to observe and be aware of what's going on without having any emotional attachment to it. It is going to get increasingly weird. A few weeks ago, Italian police raided a drug-fueled gay orgy, quote, at the apartment of a, quote, top priest in Vatican City, and while no names have been named as yet, it is only a matter of time before these and other secret matters, child sex resorts, sacrificial pedophilia rings, UFO contacts, all of it, burst into pungent blow and glorious blossom. What to do now? Be aware of the 888 Lions Gate activation and what it represents about solar flares that impact not only the physical body of the Earth, but our consciousness. Enjoy the flight and don't be alarmed if you hear distant thunder under the music, contributed anonymously in true Aquarian style. We are, after all, flying above a lightning storm again, in Jupiter's own royal box, as he and Pluto clash and boom against each other. Find an eclipse ceremony in your area, like the one Stephanie Moore and I will guide in Pisac, Peru. And don't worry, it's worthwhile to cite again here the 90-second video by Terence McKenna, Worry is Preposterous, that we showed you 2 weeks ago. And meet the Sufi poet Yunus Emre, who wrote, "The hand of trouble cannot touch me. Pain will never see me. I am in a lofty station beyond the sin of worry." We fly in aware serenity. Keep holding that frequency. This is Dan First, doing business again today as Captain Aquarius, coming to you on August the 4th, 2017, from San Marcos at Casa Real in Lake Atitlan, Guatemala.